Hello there, I'm doing a tag today. It's the All About the Reading tag. I was tagged by Mercury Calling, who I will link down below. And this originally came from a blog from what I can tell. And it's Between Lines and Life, which I will also link down below. I will be looking over here throughout because the questions are down here. So, number one is, what do you look for when you pick up a book? And there's three choices. A, beautiful writing style. B, a character-driven story. Or C, a plot-driven story. For me, absolutely A. This is quite a new development for me. The past sort of 2 years, especially this year, I have really been looking for just solid writing. And the plot could be absolutely stagnant. The characters could learn nothing and go nowhere. And I would still enjoy it if it was written beautifully, because that's what it's all about for me at the moment. Number two, what are your pet peeves in books? Instant love and love triangles done badly, and a lot of things that are done in YA annoy me. A lot of irritating, mainly romance things, to be honest. The bad writing annoys me, bad grammar annoys me. I think I'm at the stage in my reading where I'm quite good at picking out books that I know I'm going to enjoy and that wouldn't have things in them that would annoy me. So that's one thing. Then it's number three, if you could print one quote on your wall, what would it be? I'd actually gone for a book that I used to love when I was a teenager. This was everything to me. And I've since reread it, and actually I'm kind of like, it's a bit pretentious, a bit meh. But this quote is still my favourite, and it's On the Road by Jack Kerouac, and the quote is, of course, then they danced down the street like dingle bodies, and I shambled after, as I've been doing all my life, after people who interest me, because the only people for me are the mad ones, the ones who are mad to live, mad to talk, mad to be saved, desirous of everything at the same time, the ones who never yawn or say a commonplace thing, but burn, 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 like fabulous yellow Roman candles exploding like spiders across the stars. That would probably be it. But I don't love this book as much as I did when I was a teenager, which is quite a shame, but I think it's one of those books that sort of grabs you and takes you on this journey when you're really young and it's all exciting, and then you come back to it as an adult and are like, actually, this is quite problematic. Never mind. Number four. Which genre would you like to explore more? Possibly classics, but I'm a bit funny with classics. I think that's probably the only genre that I feel like I would like to delve into more, because I'm realising the more classics I read that it's kind of difficult to say that you're funny with classics, because there's such a sweeping array of classics. So definitely classics, I suppose. Other than that, I'm quite happy with where I'm at with my reading. Number five. Was there ever a book adaptation you liked better than the book? The one that really comes to mind is P.S. I Love You. Oh, and The Notebook. I think with both of them, I watched the films first before realising that they were books as well, because I generally do try and read the book first. But especially with The Notebook, I mean, I used to watch that weekly when I was like quite young. And then I only read the book about 2 years ago. But with the film, it really took the story and took just the basic concept and made it into something much bigger. Whereas, I don't know if you've seen the film, but there's sort of sections of them in an old people's home, and she's got dementia, and he is reading her the story of a love, and then we flick back and forth between that and the past and how they met and everything like that. In the book, there is sort of the flickering between the two, but it's much more about them in the old people's home. It's much more about Alzheimer's and dementia and things like that, which, you know, it doesn't look so much at the romance, and it's very brief, and it's just not half as in depth as the film. And P.S. I Love You, I really, really hated the book. Again, it was a case of the film running with the basic concept. Literally, the only similarity between them is probably the fact that she's called Holly, and the fact that her husband has died and left her letters, and it ends there, basically, the similarities. But the film is fantastic, and the book was just really, really quite weak to me. So, yeah, those two are the ones that really come to mind. Number six. If one of your favourite books could be adapted or get a new adaptation, which book would it be, and which role would you like to play? I'm going to be boring with this one as well and say that I don't want any of my favourite books to be adapted, because my favourite books are very much slow, meandering books. and I don't think they would translate into film. I think if they were made into film, they would be the type of quite awkward, arty movie that there's not much talking and it's all about facial expressions and things. And I don't really enjoy those types of films, so I wouldn't necessarily want them to adapt any of my favourite books. I'm quite precious about my favourite books. Yeah, I think it's safest to just leave them where they are. Number 7, a hyped book you wouldn't recommend at all. Oh, recently that I've read, I would say Sophia Khan is Not Obliged by Aisha Malik. It's really problematic, and it's one of those books that when I first finished it, I sort of thought, well, I had problems with it, but I would still probably recommend people read it. But since then, the more I think about it and the more it develops, because it is one of those books that sort of stays with you and it's popping up all over the place, so it's not easy to forget about. And the more I think about it, the more I just get annoyed and think, nah, irritating. Number 8, a book that highly influenced your life and way of thinking. I would say The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and it's strange because it's another one of those that I read when I was a teenager and it absolutely changed me. Like, there's no doubting that it changed me. But I've read it again, well, I started trying to read it again since, and I really didn't get along with it. I think it's one of those books where it's hard to say whether it was the book or my position in life, because I was at a sort of crossroads in my life when I picked it up, and I think it was the perfect time for me in that book, and it was one of those times where it's just exactly what you need. But I don't know if that was the book itself, but it's changed plenty of lives, so, you know, it might be. For those of you who don't know, I have got a copy, but I haven't got it with me. It's in the other room. It's basically a self-help book about spirituality, but in a much more accessible way than a lot of books, and it sort of talks about building spirituality as a thing of your own, not just jumping on a bandwagon and saying, I'm part of this religion, but really building your own spirituality and making that into a mindful and wholesome experience. And it's just really good, and it really looks at a lot of sort of phenomena in the human sort of disease that affect your daily life and sort of keep you in this cycle of misery and how to break that. And it's good, but I would say it's one of those things that if you read it at the wrong time, you just read it and think, this is just stupid. If you read it at the perfect time in your life, it'll change you, but it's all about the timing with that one. Number 9, are you a fan of rereading books? Do you do it often? This is a good question for me this year, actually. I have been doing a challenge where I reread at least one book every month, because I am not good at rereading. And yet I've got to the point now where I look back on books and think, oh, I'd really like to reread that or read it at some point, but because I've got so many books that need reading that haven't been read yet, rereads always just get put to the wayside. So this year I've made it a specific goal that I'm going to be rereading a book every month. So far I've done well, and it's nice to be getting through those books, and it's interesting as well to see that books that I didn't particularly like when I was a teenager, I'm enjoying now, whereas books that I loved when I was a teenager, I'm reading now and just not being blown away by. It's really fascinating to see how books change to you over time, and yeah, fascinating. But it is something that I personally struggle with, because there are so many books that still need to be read, and how can you justify putting books that you've already read ahead of them? It's very difficult. Number 9, which book title could easily be the title of your life? I would say The Book of Disquiet at the moment. I think the title and the book itself are just quite perfect for me, really. And the last question, number 11, which book should be required reading for everyone? At the moment, I'm going by my opinions at the moment. You know, my opinions change all the time. I would say John Steinbeck, The Grapes of Wrath, because importance. If you want to know more about my thoughts on this, I will link my review down below. Yes, so that's everything. I am not going to tag anyone because my phone is about to die, but if you want to do this, let me know, and I will come and watch your videos. Bye!